You live straight back to the Salaam Cricket Conclave.
Well,
You know, Steve Waugh, yes, you want to make a point on that? Or also the emergence of an all-rounder like a wicket-keeper batsman, the Mahendra Singh Dhoni kind of all-rounder, who keeps. You had Adam Gilchrist, now you have Dhoni. A wicket-keeper also has to be someone who can score 60, maybe in 10 overs.
Yeah, you read my mind. I was going to say someone like Adam Gilchrist is probably the greatest all-rounder that's played the game. I mean, fantastic keeper, underrated skills there, but could win the match with the bat, which he did in the World Cup final. So, as Ricky said before, these days most sides have probably got 5 or 6 all-rounders in the team now. It's not just 1 or 2 players. There's probably 6 players that can bat and bowl to a high standard. So, this World Cup coming up will probably be the side that has the most of those players in their team. That wins.
So for you, Mahendra Singh Dhoni is an all-rounder.
For sure. Yeah.
what about Sangakkara?
What about Sangakkara? Okay. And, you know, we tend to ignore the Sri Lankans because they're silent. You see, so we tend to sort of ignore them. But you're right. He is an outstanding cricketer. But, Clive, you saw most of them. If you had to choose between Kapil Dev, Hadley, Imran and Botham, who many regard were the 4 great all-rounders of the 1980s, who would you choose?
I'll choose my mate here.
Ah, that's right. So we've got a mutual admiration society. He's chosen you as captain. You've chosen him as the all-rounder. Great.
We buy drinks for one another anyways.
You buy drinks for one another. Yes, Vikrant.
My question is for Arjuna. We've heard of 2 different teams, 2 different temperaments. But how could a captain be different? Mahendra Singh Dhoni, the one-day captain, he's a gambler like you. In test matches, why does he let things drift?
When you take the one-day games, like 50-over games, it's all about containing. Like when you take the Sri Lankan side in '96, we were trying to contain the other side and try and chase. But when it comes to test matches, you need to take 20 wickets. So you need to analyze whether India has produced bowlers who can take 20 wickets in the last 10 years. Or even Sri Lanka, apart from Murali and maybe Rangana Herat. So that's a key factor when it comes to test cricket. But you need to create things even in test matches. You need to get the batsman's focus off. You need to do a lot of things in the middle. But still you need to have bowlers who can take wickets, which some of the Asian countries struggled in the last so many years.
Let me get more questions. Yes, yes, the young boy here. Yes. Do you have a mic? Or you can just shout out your question if you don't have a mic.
This question is for Kapil Dev. That what were your tactics to bowl to a great batsman like Brian Lara?
The best thing is don't bowl to him. No, I think the great batsman doesn't become overnight. It takes time, 10 years, 15 years to become a great batsman. And then you have to be consistent in your bowling. He's good because his concentration is good, and how many good balls you can bowl to a great batsman. Anybody, even Sachin Tendulkar or Ricky Ponting or Brian Lara or Vivian Richard, I think it's important that you bowl to your strength and let them make a mistake. Better delivery you bowl, more often you will take them with a lesser score.
Let me get in. Yes, the gentleman, yes.
Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you for being here. I feel sorry for bowlers today. I mean, you've played in the era where you've had excellent bowlers. Do you strongly believe with the strong bats that you have, boundaries going in short, we need to have some respite for the bowlers? What are your thoughts on that?
Let me put that first to Clive Lloyd. If the boundaries were as small as they were today, how many sixes would you aim for every match? I mean, even your miss hits today would go for 6.
Yes, but we talked about this the other day. Why don't we just go back to the normal boundary instead of bringing things in? I am thinking about the bowlers, that these guys have got some big bats too, and I'm wondering if we should start chiseling them down and saying that you have to have a certain set of wood in those bats, because some little guys are hitting these balls very far. So, well and truly, I think they should have normal boundaries. I feel we should go back to normal boundaries.
Do you all agree? Normal boundaries? Is the entire panel agree with that? Ricky Ponting? Clive Lloyd says have normal boundaries, otherwise the game is changing too much in favour of batsmen?
Yeah, I think if you think about it though, I don't think the size of the boundaries has changed too much. Around the grounds, maybe the boundaries have come in a few metres, but the ball's going 40, 50, 60 metres over the boundary, so it wouldn't actually matter how far the boundary was back. The the modern day player, I believe, is a bigger, stronger athlete. I think across the board we probably all agree on that the majority of the players now are bigger and stronger. The quality of the bats is what it is. I mean, the modern player would probably go through 30 or 40 bats in a season, going through, picking the ones that are the best pieces of willow and using them maybe only for 4 or 5 games at a time until they break. Then you bring another one in and you go again. So when you have these big bats, it just fills you with confidence to think you can actually take the bowlers on and hit the ball over the field and therefore over the boundary. So it's the confidence thing that comes with it, that to know that even if you hit the ball and don't get it right in the middle, that maybe, it'll at least clear the infield and get it half decently and it'll go for 6.
Let me get 1 or 2 more questions. Yes, the gentleman there, yes. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, I was going to keep that for the final segment, but I will keep that. I will ask them that. That will be the final segment when we'll ask them who's going to win the World Cup. But yes, the young boy here, one quick last question. Yeah, we'll give you a mic.
My question is this, that last wicket batsman batting and he needs to score 4 to 5 runs and there is MS Dhoni. So more pressure will be on batting side or a bowling side?
That's a good question. Amir Sohail, if there are 4 runs to win, there's a bowler and MS Dhoni is batting. Who's under more pressure, the bowler or the batsman?
Both.
In today's cricket?
Both. If you're playing for India, even...
Okay, let me get a better mic for you and repeat that question.
Obviously, pressure is going to be on both. He has to get 4 runs. He's captain of India. Expectation level is so high. And bowler is going to be obviously under pressure.
But Dhoni never looks under pressure. You believe that's deceptive?
Well, that's the quality of that player. He has this calm exterior. Whether he's breaking inside, he doesn't give it away. So that's why he's been so successful.
Okay, let's get, yes, Atit at the back. Yes, Atit.
We've discussed everyone, but what role does someone like, someone sitting in a dressing room, someone like John Buchanan or a Gary Kirsten, Chappell's name in 2007 World Cup, but what role does a coach play when it comes to World Cup especially?
So, sorry, I missed...
The basic question is, what role does a coach play, whether it's a Gary Kirsten or a John Buchanan? Do coaches have a role to play in winning World Cups?
Yeah, of course they do, yeah. I don't think, at international level these days, I don't think the coach is necessarily teaching the players how to hit a cover drive or how to bowl an outswinger. But what they're doing is, one of the themes that's come up through the day is about managing people well and challenging people in different ways. And I've never had this conversation with Steve Waugh, but I actually think John Buchanan was probably the best coach that I played under, and he didn't teach me anything about batting. But on a daily basis, he was challenging me to be a better player. He was challenging me in different ways, and he was challenging every one of the senior players and younger players in the Australian team and to look at things in a different way and try things and innovate and just try and find little ways to make yourself just that little bit better. So coaches now around international teams can probably even have their title changed to manager, because the better, more senior players are ones that are generally doing most of the coaching. The captain, once the game starts, is the coach anyway. He's doing all the coaching on the field. So you need someone in place that can manage your squad, can manage your training sessions, and can challenge people in ways that they wouldn't otherwise be challenged.
One last question from the audience. Yes, gentleman here. The little girl should get the first chance. I don't think any little girl has got a chance. Go ahead.
मेरा सवाल कपिल जी से है.
No, the girl. First the girl.
Yeah.
I'm Trisha. My question is, there is so much of cricket today. Does the panel think of burn out amongst cricketers?
She's asked a very good question. She believes, she's worried, will there be a burnout among cricketers? Is there too much of cricket that leads to a burnout, Alan Border? Are cricketers getting burnt out?
Look, it does appear that there's a lot of cricket being played now. I mean, the average, if you play all three forms of the game, yes, you're playing a lot of days of cricket, a lot of preparation, a lot of travel. So there is the wear-down factor. I think the actual playing of the game is not the situation. It's more the practice that's involved and the travel. That's the wear-down factor over a period of time.
If you were still around, would you like to play the IPL?
I'd love to play IPL.
Okay.
I'm available to.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We take you right back to the Salaam Cricket Conclave.
It will be South Africa and Australia.
South Africa and Australia. It's interesting, Steve WAUGH, because South Africa has never won the World Cup. They've often been called the chokers in the famous match in 1999, which was a tie of the last ball, which you got the South Africans out of the tournament. Do you believe South Africa's moment has come, or are you going to go with the Australians or the Indians?
Yeah, it'll be the most open World Cup for a long time. There's 5 or 6 genuine chances. South Africa will do well if AB de Villiers has a good World Cup. I think he's a fantastic player. If he plays well, South Africa will be a chance. But it's hard to go past Australia, and I think the key players there will be Dave Warner and Glenn Maxwell. And particularly if Dave Warner has a big tournament, I think Australia will win.
But you mentioned a good player, AB de Villiers. Do you see him as the kind of player who could change a World Cup? Because many believe he is today the best one-day batsman in the world.
Yeah, he's a great player, and he seems to rise to the big occasion. And maybe it's South Africa's turn when people least expect it. They're sort of flying under the radar a bit instead of being one of the clear favourites. This time no one's mentioned him too much, and it might just be their time when you least expect it.
Ricky Ponting, your choice for, as a triple World Cup winner, who's your choice for the try? And I know you're a bit of a betting man, so you can tell us who you're going to put your money on.
Yeah, I'm going for an Australia-India final.
Australia-India final, that's what we want. That ensures you a lifetime visa to India, provided you then say India will beat Australia in the final.
I just said it'll be an Australia-India final. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going any further than that.
So who's going to win the final?
Look, I think Australia will win the final. I think for the World Cup's benefit, I think that would be the best spectacle, an Australia-India final. You think of the batting talent on display in that final. If both those teams get there, I think it'd be a great game to watch. I'll back Steve up. I think David Warner could be the guy that his last 12 or 18 months in international cricket in all formats of the game have been pretty special, and he's just, I think, starting to work out what being a consistent international player is all about. Opening the batting in Australia, 2 new white balls. If he gets off to a flyer in most games in Australia, will go a long way to winning.
So you're saying David Warner is the kind of impact player who could change a World Cup?
And the other thing I'll say is I think New Zealand are a dark horse to actually be right near the final somewhere. They've got an unbelievable record at home in one-day cricket. Doesn't matter who they play there, what time of year it is, they very rarely lose series in New Zealand. And at the moment, I think they've probably got the best depth that they've had around their cricket for maybe 10 years, especially on the fast bowling and all-rounder side of things. So I think they'll be up there in the semi-final somewhere too.
Okay, we've given you your contract for Mumbai Indians is a short, provided you tell us that India would beat Australia, but you're not willing to go that far. Okay, Kapil Dev, who's going to win the World Cup this time?
I think it's unfair if I keep on talking about your own country. It's not fair.
No, it's fair.
No, it's then I don't agree with that. You know, you can say, apart from India, whom you pick, I will ready to answer that. But if you say, emotionally I get involved, I've seen Indian cricket much closely, so I can only say, well, India will. I'll keep India out. If there is any other team, no doubt there is Australia, Sri Lanka, but don't count out New Zealand. Playing in New Zealand, they can be a dark horse and they can disturb any team because most of their matches playing in New Zealand, and beating New Zealand in New Zealand is very difficult. If they come to the top 4, they can be spoil the party.
Yani dil Hindustani keh raha hai. Your dil is saying Hindustani, your head is saying somewhere New Zealand or Australia.
That is obvious. I mean, if you're asking Ellen or asking Ricky or anybody, if you ask me, of course I'm going to say I've seen Dhoni, I've seen his team, this is the best team, because you know all the good side of your team. But I think it's important if you ask all of them, which is one team you pick before you pick your team, then it's more interesting question.
What's the biggest weakness of the Indian team, you think, Kapilji, that we will have to overcome to win the World Cup? If there was one thing.
I think, again, it's the fast bowling in the death over how they bowled. They haven't bowled well. If they can bowl well in the last 10 overs, I have no doubt they can win it, but it's a big question mark. And Australian grounds are much bigger, what we are talking about. When the big boundary comes, India have a disadvantage of that. Smaller ground, India have advantage of that.